In this video we'll take a look at Australia's first ever electric car only motorsport event and seeing what we can learn both from the perspective of drivers and event organisers. So the day starts off with paperwork. There's paperwork before the event, paperwork on the event, and then we're into scrutineering. So this is the process of checking the cars to make sure that they're safe to compete in the motorsport event, because any form of motorsport event places additional stresses on the car, and we need to ensure that there's going to be no failures which are going to cause a safety hazard to the driver, spectators, or even the car itself. The scrutineers will check things such as the tyres, the brakes, any suspicious fluids coming out of things like suspension, dampers or the engine, although not in the case of EVs for that, and they'll look at your own safety equipment such as your helmet and a fire extinguisher if the event requires it. You will need to take all loose articles out of your vehicle, which is a good idea as all it will do is add weight and that makes you slower. Now at this event there are a high number of novice drivers, so the MG Car Club organised some driver coaches from Motorsport Australia to help drivers with performance driving techniques before I hit the track for the first time. And if you are a driver coach, at the end of this video I've got some tips and techniques that we learned during the day about EVs. So now you've done your paperwork, you've done your scrutineering, and if you're a novice you've had your brief. Now it's time for the driver briefing generally before you get out on track.
And there's movement through the pits. There's signs. It's a one-way system. There's signs and do not hit us. So if you can observe those, that'll be good.
So this is the Rob Roy track. It's around 600 metres. It's a standing start, a flying finish. It's a climb up a hill, and the location is in the Christmas Hills, just a bit northeast of Melbourne. The event was run as a regularity to reward the most consistent driver, not the fastest driver. Next up was a familiarisation lap where you drive the track at a very slow speed just so you get an idea of what turn is coming up where. It's going to look and feel a lot different at high speed, but better to drive it at slow speed once than not at all.
For cars to park there without rolling down the hill. That's an ongoing project.
Okay, this train's not as bad as I thought it was.
Nah. This is the pits where each competitor gets an area to park their car, leave their stuff, and if necessary work on their car, although nobody seemed to have the need to do that in this particular event. Now, with modern vehicles like EVs, it's important to set them up correctly for motorsport. That generally involves turning off safety aids such as lane departure warning and especially automatic emergency braking, putting the car into its sports mode but leaving stability control on unless you are adept at oversteer recovery. Okay, now let's take a look at a few vehicles launching off the line rather gently in the case of this Resto Mod EV Beetle, but a little bit more quickly in the case of the vehicles like this Tesla.
That means that they'll probably get a little bit more use out of the car. So the sunbeam is off and running, and it's great to see cars like that on the hill. The first time run will be the next run for everybody, but that was a 31-second sprint route, so I would suggest that that's probably the quickest for today.
Runs were timed, so you could look up and see how you were doing throughout the day, although this was a regularity event. I like EVs because you don't have to yell.
Indeed.
It's quiet, yeah. So the best way to approach this is just to imagine it's a normal public road.
Yep.
To begin with, right? So drive it as fast as you would a public road for your first run, and then we can look at improving your time after that.
Sure.
So you need go, power, brake, turn. That's good, well done. Now get ready for some power out of here. Wait. Now go, power. That's good. Keep it flat, power, turn in. Good work. Keep it flat, and brake hard, brake. Good work. Right, any questions from your last run?
Good. How do I avoid the wheel spin? Just a bit more gentle?
Yeah. This is a front-wheel drive car, powerful electric vehicle, and it doesn't have what we term a limited slip differential.
No.
So it is liable to spin the wheels even going in a straight line. The way to minimise it is to try and keep as straight line as possible, because anytime you're turning the car, you're actually shifting the weight to the outside, and that will increase the wheel spin. So I think off the line, just make sure you're absolutely dead straight and keep the steering wheel straight until we're 20-30 metres up. Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Yeah. Power. Go faster. That's it. Full throttle now, go. Get the car straightened up and now, yep. Keep it planted, full throttle. Yeah, look, we're going to need an LSD and better tyres to get rid of that.
Yep.
There's only so much we can do, but that was less wheel spin than last time, particularly off the line.
Yes, it was.
Because we just kept it so straight, and that's why. Yeah. So look at the front wheel spin on this front drive EV as it takes off. I'll run that in slow motion so you can see again. Look at the front wheels. A little bit of spin. Because EVs produce all the torque off idle, they are particularly prone to front wheel drive wheel spin, and that's where things like an LSD can come in handy, or you can just keep the car as straight as possible on takeoff. Now there's an all-wheel drive Tesla which doesn't have this problem because it's driving all four wheels, and look at the way that it rocks back on its suspension. The front comes up, the back goes down. There's no slip at all. It's got one motor in the front, one motor in the back, and they're acting in perfect harmony to just rocket that vehicle away. And because there's no gear shifts, you get even quicker acceleration with the EV as well. So this is a look at how 4 different EVs got around this part of the track, starting at where the red arrow is pointing.
That's how I left the track, and he has continued on up the hill, but I'll need to...
Hey, my name's Alex Newen. Heard about the event through Facebook. Thought I'd put in my expression of interest, and yeah, here we are today. It's been excellent, thank you.
Why has it been excellent?
Great little venue, great little hill. Yeah, it's just fun and something different.
Is this your first time doing anything like this?
First time doing a hill climb, but have had previous experience on track before.
Okay.
But, it's fun to be out here in electric vehicles. You don't see these out here doing motorsport activities very often.
Well, hopefully we'll change that. How different is the electric vehicle to vehicles you've driven before?
I guess braking earlier, turning in earlier, I guess is probably the main difference, given you just got to be mindful of these cars. Okay. They're heavy, so you just have to keep that in mind, that's all.
Thank you.
No worries at all.
So I'm Justin Harding, got a Tesla Model 3 Performance. Yeah, it's been a great fun day, something different. I've never done a hill climb before. So.
Have you done other types of motorsport before?
Yeah, I've had it on the track a couple of times, so Sandown. And,
the Tesla?
Yeah, the Tesla had up at Wagunda, which was great. This is obviously quite a bit different, a bit more technical.
What tips would you give for new electric vehicle drivers having a go at this?
Basically go for it, because it's the way these events are run is super safe, it's good fun, you can experience the car in a way you can't normally on the roads, and yeah, it's a great group of people around to have a chat to as well.
Super speedy Beetle, grand start.
No, big bottle, Tony.
All about quality.
Tony.
So this is Rice, who's the main man, the motivating force behind this event. So Rice, tell us where the idea came from.
I've had my MG EV now for 4 years. And when I first got it, I was really keen to compete in club competition, which I've done occasionally through the years, particularly national meetings. And I participated in the Newcastle national meeting, and the new Motorsport Australia regulations had just come out, but it was very hard to get that to happen in Victoria. So lots of challenges, and the club's been very supportive, but we had to sort of move mountains to make it happen down here.
So talk to us about some of these mountains that needed moving. What was the challenge?
So there's real risks and imaginary risks.
Okay.
And everyone was focused on the imaginary risks, that what if the EVs blow up on fire? What if something happens? What if the earth caves in? Whatever. And the real risks are these cars are bloody fast. And we've got people here who haven't really ever driven in motorsport coming along driving fast cars. So I was focused on how do we bring on a whole bunch of new drivers? How do we get people come in, have fun, yet at the same time make it safe? So everyone's worrying about the emergency procedures and the fires and all that sort of stuff that you read in the headlines of the newspapers, where I was worried about the safety aspects.
So on the fire front, did you have to do anything differently with the EVs in terms of fire, or was it just the standard fire crew we'd have at any motorsport event?
It was more the groundswell of opinion about getting training done for our officials, and also we opened it up to all the Motorsport Australia clubs in Victoria, or actually in Australia, via Zoom. So we had a meeting back in May. We had Australia's leading fire educator, and also we had Motorsport Australia come along, and we spoke about organisation events and also fires. And we spoke about the incidents of fires, how to deal with fires, the resources to cope with fires, and everyone walked away from that understanding a lot more about the issues. And then no longer it was, oh my God, fires are an issue. It's, oh my God, we've got all these new people coming to the club. They've never driven a fast car. What do we do? So they came around to that.
So if a EV was to catch fire, would it be dealt with any differently to an ICE car, petrol car?
Yes, it would, because it's a different style of fire,
Yep.
and you have to accept that if it did happen, which is super rare, but you have to plan for it.
Yep.
If it did happen, the easiest thing to do is to put it in open space and just let it burn.
Okay.
It is remote, but if it was to happen, otherwise you end up creating an environmental disaster trying to put it out, and you also end up risking people's lives trying to fight it. So the fires are different, and they don't happen like the Hollywood movies that go boom. 2 days later, 3 days later, 4 days later, that's when the film will run away. So it's a different fire.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the actual risk you had to manage then, which was the new drivers. Talk to us about what that risk is and how it was managed.
So normally in most of our competition events, we'll have a level of new drivers, so come and try licenses, and there'll be one or two, and there'll be a mentor, and we just had a lot more today. So I think you were one of the coaches, and we had 6 in the end, or 8.
I think 6 or 8.
So with 2 coaches, that's probably maximum one for 2 coaches, but out of a small field, that was a third of our drivers were new. And having the coaching is amazing, because it means they've got confidence, and then we know that they're not going to be running off the course on the first corner. And it's so hard, because the first EV event you do, if there was an accident, it'll be all over social media, all over.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other thing we did is we also had a committee of a nominations committee. So we had everyone apply, couldn't come straight through. They had to go to 2 of our most senior motorsport judges, administrators, and they literally went through the application and said, yes, he can run. No, he better have a come and try license. And we did it that way only because we had so many new people we didn't know. If this had been a club event, you know everybody, you go, okay, well, we know he still needs more training, so we'll just get one person to train him. But here it was the unknown, so we had to bring that in, and that made it a lot harder. Because the race secretary, thank God, he still likes me, I think, had a lot of work this week. So this week the race secretary was pulling his hair out, trying to get paperwork for people who have never dealt with it before, the non-motorsport system, and the paperwork, as you know, is everything.
Yeah.
And that was a nightmare. So it can improve, but just this event, we had to, make it that level of extra work.
Okay. Will there be another event?
I would like to see this incorporated into normal competition, because I don't believe electric vehicles are separate and standalone, and them versus us and all sorts of stuff. And I've got my other ICE cars, which I love and I'll compete in. So I'd like to see it normalised, that the officials have been trained, the marshals have been trained, the race control have been trained. Everyone's been trained in now, so it's no different to having it in a normal event. So I'd like to see normal events incorporate EVs. Having said that, if the EVing community in Melbourne wanted to do another event, we'd be up for it, but it'd be built on the success of this. So today was a small day. I'd like to see more competitors, but more skilled competitors. So we might have training events at our regular club days leading to an all EV day. But if I was to do it again, I'd talk national and say, righto, we had one person from South Australia that made it, one person from Sydney was coming down and cancelled, and there's a few things there. So we'd have a longer lead time for announcements, and I'd make a thing and say, let's just fight the bull by the horns.
Yeah, look, I take your point about just running in normal. So essentially what you're saying is that now anyone with an EV can just turn up to any normal Rob Roy event and then they're good to go. Right, okay. I still think
we're at now.
Yeah, I still think there might be value from publicity and also from a come and try perspective and learning to have another pure EV event. Do you think so or not?
If demand's there, yes. And so the guys that better today, we'll survey them after this and ask them the question, would you come back again?
Yeah.
I kind of know the answer, but I kind of also want to know what they didn't like about today, what we could improve, that sort of thing. And I know what I'd like to have more drivers that are actually skilled. So I'd like to, if we had 60 running next time, I'd like to have 6 come and try, not 18. So that's the sort of difference.
Yeah. Great. And so if any other club wanted to organise an EV event, give us your top 3 things to focus on. I mean, you talked about EV fire risk not actually being a risk in the end, and you've got your protocol, which you just leave it. So that's probably 1. Come and tries 2. Is there a 3rd?
I think the first one is there a market for it? So if your club wants to do it, do you have enough people in the club that want to do it? What's the point of putting on EV day if 2 people do it? So I had kind of confidence with the people I know. A lot of my friends are here today.
Yeah.
And so if there's the design your club to do it is the number one thing. And the desire comes from, you know, I've spent a lot of time pushing people in my club to do what I want to do, but they wouldn't have done it without, you know, their person.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much indeed. So driver coaching has to be adapted for every type of vehicle, and EVs are no exception. Here's a few things I learned, and I'm keen to hear from experienced coaches who've also had experience with coaching EV drivers. First thing is EVs are quiet, so you don't need to yell. Pretty obvious, but that's a good thing. Secondly, they are quiet, and you can hear the tyres much better than you can in an ICE vehicle, and they can obviously tell you a lot. Third thing, EVs are quiet, and that means you can't hear the engine tell you stories. So you can't tell if someone's just lifted just a fraction on or added a bit more power in the same way you can with an ICE car. Regen. Now, when you lift in an EV, that is a real slowdown. It's not like in a ICE car in your fourth gear and someone lifts a bit, there's not that much change to the speed. Well, at that same sort of speed, regen will kick in and the EV actually will slow down. You might need to remind students to use both pedals because they may be used to one pedal driving. Front-wheel drive wheel spin does need to be managed. It needs to be managed in any front-wheel drive car, but particularly in EVs because they do have that large amount of torque, and they tend to run pretty eco tyres with not much grip and often don't have LSDs. Gear selection, obviously not a problem, but that can flatter them because when they get into an ICE vehicle, all of a sudden might need to manage that. As with any modern vehicle, you need to disable your ADAS, Advanced Driver Assist Systems, especially AEB, lane keep systems. And for EVs, acceleration is great, but with many EVs, that's mostly off the line, and the faster you go, the less impressive the acceleration is. And one other general point is that the lack of noise actually is a bit of a hazard for people at the event in the pits, so it's not a bad idea to make people aware of that. Add a bit of noise if the EV will do it, or just a tiny little bit of judicious use of horns. So, hope you found this video useful. If you've got any questions, please drop them in the comments, and thank you for watching.